How do I feel about questions? They sicken me deeply. Josh, how come you're the one sane enough to not play Midnight? I'm not going to insult people for liking or not liking any element of a game. I don't personally have any interest in retail. If you want to play Midnight, go for it. That's entirely up to you. I wouldn't say that playing Midnight makes you insane. I know that it's a joke. You're just saying, you know, why am I not insane enough to play that? But I kind of really want to push back every now and again whenever there's I don't want to make a joke at the expense of another person. And I think saying that people that are playing the Midnight release are insane it makes them the butt of the joke. I don't want to do that. What is it about retail that I don't find appealing? My first experience with retail was I jumped in when Battle for Azeroth happened, and I immediately got told that I was the hero of Azeroth, super important, had to heal the planet by mining Azerite to fix the wounds, and I was a champion and everything was amazing, and someone said to me, hey, you should go and kill the Lich King. So as soon as I got flying, which was very quick, I flew all the way to Northrend, soloed the entire Icecrown Citadel, killed Arthas in like 3 hits, and didn't get the Invincible Reigns. And someone went, oh, that's a shame. You've got to do that every week from now on forever. And I thought, the pacing of this is terrible. I have absolutely no connection to what's going on here. It is... I felt it was so badly paced. I felt it was focusing entirely on mechanics over narrative. I felt that it was the continuation of a story that I wasn't part of or involved in any way, and I didn't feel connected to it. The mechanics of retail, you know what, were okay. They were fine for what they were. I didn't really vibe with retail when I started playing it because it felt like I was getting involved in... You know when you're a kid and you're at school and you're on the playground during playtime and there's a bunch of other kids who are playing a game and you don't know the rules to the game, you just want to join in. That's what playing retail WoW felt like to me. I didn't feel like I was being ingratiated into a group. I didn't feel like I was being involved in something. I felt that there was an ongoing game, an ongoing story that had already happened, that wasn't taking the time to ingratiate me into it, that wasn't taking the time to show me why I should or shouldn't care. And they were like, come and do this, now do this, now do this, now do this. And as fun as it was for a bit, I started to realize that I didn't have any emotional connection to it. So I just didn't really kind of vibe with that. When everyone is the savior of the world, how is the world still in danger? When everyone has destroyed, you know, massive titans. I also think that I really did genuinely try to keep up with WoW's story. I actually bought the big kind of Warcraft encyclopedia, the compendium. I bought the book and I tried to read all of it. And I thought, okay, cool. So it starts with the Titans, and then you get the Lich King, and then you've got all of these elder gods and the old ones, and that's all happening. And after reading all that, they were like, actually, no, it's the jailer. The jailer's much more important than all of this. But oh no, it's actually the Emerald Dream. But oh no, it's actually now about Aztec dinosaurs that are here. But oh no, actually, there's been Azerite within the planet all along that we've got to fix. And oh no, it's actually this. And oh no, it's actually that. And I'm thinking, I was kind of behind Arthas, the Lich King, because I got the idea of Arthas. And I think there was a personal connection because I did play Warcraft 3. But it just suffered so much from plot creep, scope creep, that I struggled to care. There's only so many times I can be told this next threat is the most world-ending threat we've ever faced before I think, you know what, at this point, just get like 5 random people from a Goldshire in, it will be enough. A good way of putting it, like you say, is a narrative arms race. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I don't think it was a bad game at all. Mechanically, it was fine. I just struggled to connect with it narratively. I know people are joking, oh, you're not even reading the stuff here when you're in the Dead Mines. I am behind the scenes, obviously. I'm trying to work out what's going on. Means you're getting old, too much stuff to follow. I don't mind having a story to follow. It just didn't feel good to try and keep up with it. I felt like keeping up with it was pointless. The lore in this game is not handed to you. Wispy, I don't want it to be handed to me. I just want it to be consistent. I don't want to spend ages worrying about the old gods and then being told, it was all the jailer's plan. I don't want the lore to be handed to me. I want the story to actually matter. And if you tell me, hey, you know, the planet's in trouble again, I'm like, all right, can we just get a couple of people that saved it last time? Also, when they say the story isn't handed to you in this game, it literally is. I'm sure that the World Saga plan is there. I meant as in it's not obvious. I think I personally vibe with adventures when the adventurers themselves are less powerful, substantially less powerful than the thing they're fighting against. And the victory is achieved through being smart and through teamwork and through understanding and through grit and through determination. Not because you're like the most powerful thing ever. And I guess what I thought about retail was that everyone is so bloody powerful all the time. I like not necessarily lower stakes fantasy, but I like it when the stakes are at least somewhat relatable. I don't want to save the world unless I've got a reason to live in the world. And I think one of the things that retail WoW failed at with me personally was the very first thing it told me to do was save the world. What it didn't do was give me a personal reason that the world needed saving beyond being told it needed saving. If you want me to save the world, give me a world that I love, and I will want to save it purely out of principle. If you just tell me that the world is in danger and I have to save it, it just feels like going to work. You don't need to tell the audience that they should want to save something if you have spent the time to establish that thing as a thing they can love. But ESO basically does the same. Yeah, Nina, I also didn't vibe with ESO. I mean, it's not a gotcha to say, but another game did the same thing. Yeah, they both suck. The fact that you meet Lyris Titanborn and she immediately swaps her position with the Prophet, and you're like, we must go and save Lyris. Why? I've spent like 5 minutes with her. I have no idea who she is. I find your view interesting because I don't care about the story at all. Thus, it never occurred to me that someone could not like WoW based on that. If I'm going to play something that's just mechanically interesting, then yeah, sure, WoW is mechanically fine at what it does. But if I'm just engaging with it mechanically, then I'm going to want to try and engage with mechanics that I personally enjoy slightly more. And I enjoyed the mechanics of Neverwinter more than I enjoyed the mechanics of WoW. So retail WoW didn't grab me because it just... I think I was... Before I tried retail WoW, the only things that I had to really go off were the stories that my friends had told me about these social community 40-man raids where they would, hang out and eat pizza and enjoy, drink your fizzy drinks and pizza in the evening, and they were, going to kill the Lich King, and the end of the Warcraft 3 story was basically finished, and they were loving all that. And it was this beautiful moment of kind of collective community closure, if you will. And then I played it and it said, Battle for Azeroth. And I thought, okay, cool. Maybe it's going to be the Alliance versus the Horde. Maybe it's going to be... Because the Battle for Azeroth key art was literally just an Alliance guy and an Orc guy at each other's faces. They were clashing again. That was brilliant. And I thought, okay, back to basics, back to simplicity. We're just fighting the Alliance versus the Horde, and I can get behind that. I can understand that conflict. And then I installed it, and I started to play it, and straight away it was Mayan dinosaurs. And I don't mind Mayan dinosaurs, but the fact that it was the battle for Azeroth has begun, the Alliance versus the Horde, travel to this new area, and now team up with the other side again and go and fight skeletal dinosaurs. What? I don't want that. I don't mind the fact the Alliance and the Horde storyline doesn't make any sense anymore. I felt that you'd sold me one thing and then I ended up experiencing another. Yeah, and those expansions, the problem, they weren't an onboarding point. They assumed you were already very familiar with the story. And they were like, it's not just the Alliance versus the Horde. The old gods are going to get involved. I'm like, okay, who are the old gods? Oh, you should already know. Didn't you do all those raids where you fought them? No. No, I didn't. I was hoping that this expansion would be a moment to join. And I joined and you were like, oh, you should already know all this. Well, I didn't. I think that Battle for Azeroth was a difficult point for me to join retail WoW because even though it was an expansion and I joined early on in the expansion, it felt like the end of something. The start of Battle for Azeroth felt like it was the end of a storyline that I had, I was meant to have already been involved with. And I met all these characters and I had no idea who they were. You appreciate my use of smiley faces. Look, I'm a boomer. Apparently. Like, mentally I am. Physically I'm a millennial. But apparently, mentally and digitally, I'm a bit of a boomer. So I still use what I refer to as emoticons every now and again. I still type in the good old emotes. So, can I just point something out? I find it really weird when people do the smiley face the wrong way around. Like, it's meant to be colon, end parenthesis. When someone does open parenthesis colon, insane behavior. Utterly insane behavior.